So, I thought you guys would like to know the conclusion. At least the conclusion for now. It's still not over for another week. Week and a half. Yeah, another week. This is Friday right now. I think it's, is it February 16th? 15th or 16th? Anyhow, here's what went down. Okay, with regards to the knife gig. As you recall, I had told them I was leaving, and they said, you know, they would go ahead and only give me a partial payment. Well, how it even got to that point, because initially they weren't going to give me any of the money, was they contacted me and wanted me to give them their money, not their money, their knife back, even though they had pretty much not been paying me for the last couple weeks. And I know some of you were wondering, you know, why I didn't just leave because I owed them money. The fact of the matter is, they actually had the upper hand while you're working for them because they don't pay you right away. It takes about 3 weeks before you get your paycheck from 3 weeks previously. And what they do is they have the employees pay their own expenses like gasoline, supplies for the knife gig, you know, the tomatoes, the bread, the balloons, and all the other stuff that we purchase that we use for the demonstration. Each week it can come to quite a bit of money, like more than $100, and that includes gasoline and any other expenses that you incur. Then what you do is you file an expense form, and then the company reimburses you that expense form if they approve of it. Now, they've been pretty good at approving stuff and reimbursing you what you submit, but how it's kind of scammy is this. They pay it to you as if it was your salary. That's what they listed on the pay stub, as if it was your salary. So what happens is, just to show you the math of how it works and why, even though I was owing them money, it would never be too much because they were in control of how much they were willing to let me owe. And I think it became an issue when they started seeing that I was owing too much, and that's why they stopped paying me. Because they give you mileage, only 30 cents a mile, after they deduct 40 miles. So, you know, the national average right now is like 54 cents, but they're only giving 30 cents, and they deduct the first 40 miles. So you're giving them 40 miles each day free times 5. That's 200 miles that you give the company for free using your vehicle. The other thing is, you're paying for all this gas and the wear and tear, and they only reimburse you 30 cents. But it's not even a straight reimbursement, because they give it to you as your pay, so you get taxed on it. So how it works is this, I think. When you submit the forms to them, they use that to file their taxes and say that those were expenses that they incurred. Or they might even make up their own, I don't know, and say they're claiming 54 cents a mile for travel or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. All I know is that money each week, approximately every pay period, about $300 to $400, maybe even more, depending on mileage. Sometimes with mileage it can go higher. Anywhere from $300 to $700, $800 the employee spends out of pocket. Yep, to work this job, you spend roughly about $300 a week with gasoline, inventory and everything. I mean, not inventory, but supplies and everything else that you purchase. So you spend about $300 roughly a week, maybe more, depending on how far they stick you out. And then you file the claim, and you don't get it back for 3 weeks. And that's what they do. They take that money that you file, and they withhold it from your pay. So, just to give you some real-world numbers, let's say that I was supposed to get $400 every week draw. That means in a 2-week pay period, I should have $800, right? So I should have $800 plus the expenses. And for the 2 weeks, let's say I spend $600 in expenses. That includes gasoline. And you're like, how can you spend that much? Well, if you've seen what I've been doing, I drive all over the state of Florida. And my car doesn't really get that good of gas mileage. You know, I was getting 12 to 14 miles per gallon at the most. So, and you're hauling inventory a lot of times. So it's heavy. But, long story short, if you just go with the base numbers, okay, of $400 draw per week, that's $800 for the 2 week period, plus $600 in expenditures, that includes mileage and everything else, I should be getting $1,400 every 2 weeks. But that's not the reality. The reality is they will subtract what I owe from the draw out of the $600. So, what happens then is this. They will pay me the draw, okay, for 1 week, but not pay me for the second week, because they'll say they'll take the $400 out of the $600 that was on my expenses, which is my money, out-of-pocket money that I spent. They didn't send me that money. That was money I spent out of my bank account to work this job. So then, for the 2 week period, I get paid $600 to $800, and it's written off as salary, so I get taxed on it. And that's what they do, which is really bad, seedy. But it's how they function. I knew that going in. You know, I'm not like stupid or something, but I knew it and I calculated it, and I was like, well, you know what? It's still doable because it'll be enough to cover the child support and Walter's house payments. And then with whatever I can earn from YouTube, I can use that to pay additional expenses such as utilities, and a little bit of fund money left over, and some to invest back into my photography and software development. So that's what the plan was, and it worked until they stopped paying me completely. You know, then when they didn't pay me for a whole week, they only gave me for, instead of $800 for that week, they gave me $450 because they had upped the pay. They gave us an increase in pay of $50 draw per week. So they gave me a $50 draw for that week, but then didn't pay me the $400 from the previous week when the draw was still $400, and only paid me, I think it was like $48 for the whole week in sales. That screwed me over $352 or something like that. So I raised the issue with them, and they refused to pay, and that's how I ended up leaving. So that brings us up to date. And for those of you who are wondering, you know, how I'm leaving without paying them money, I did pay them. I've been paying them every paycheck. They automatically pull it out, so it's not like they're going to keep having this big debt that keeps climbing. They can control how much, and because they control my paycheck for 3 weeks. And what they were essentially going to do was not pay me for 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks, or 2.5 weeks, because I quit early. So they weren't going to pay me for 3 whole weeks almost. And because I had the knife on me, which they realized after they let me go, after I quit, and, you know, they wanted me back, but I didn't want to come back. And they realized they had to deal with me to get the knives. So they came up with the agreement, you know. I mean, originally they wanted me to do all this stuff, and they wanted to pay me at the next paycheck. And I said, no, I need the money right now. But they refused to do that, which they still refused. But then I came up with the agreement for them to go ahead and make the payment for the missing week, and then I'll take the rest of the payment on my final paycheck, which is coming out next Friday. Assuming they honor that agreement, which I think they will, because when I was conversing with the boss, not my immediate boss, but the boss high up, the guy that actually does the accounting, he specifically kept asking me to confirm that I agree with the terms of the closure, which is basically that I give them back the inventory, and they will pay me the $352 plus the final week's draw, plus the final mileage and whatnot, which will make us even. And I agreed to that, and I don't think they're going to jip me off, because he kept confirming like twice whether or not I had to state that I agreed with it, because I think he's documenting it for proof that, you know, I got paid what I agreed to get paid, and that they kept their end of the bargain. At least that's what it's looking like right now, because they did pay me the $352 the other day. So I went ahead and released the inventory back to them. Now here's what's interesting. You know, I had what had happened was when they kept changing the terms of the agreement, I told them that there was I was going to start charging them. I was going to charge them $35.82 or something like that for storing the knives for them, and they said they never agreed to that. And I said, well, you know, they said, how did you come up with this figure, $35.82 or whatever? And I said, well, I was being nice. I just wanted to round it off so that you guys would pay me an even number for the amount of money that was owed. Dog is driving me nuts here. So I told them, you know, I wanted to be nice and do that for them. But they said they never agreed to it. And I said, well, I never agreed to you guys not paying me any draw at all either. And since you guys are changing the contracts, let me go ahead and change the terms. I'm going to charge you guys $100 storage fee for every day that I stored the knives. And since it's been 1 week, that's $700 additional. So you need to pay the $700 in addition to all these other fees. So the price went up. And if you decide you don't want me to store the knives anymore, then I'll dispose of them for you. And in that case, there's a $2,000 disposal fee. They did not like that. I gotta get away from those dogs. They're driving me nuts. They really did not like that. So they were quiet for a while. Then they got back with me, and they deleted. They didn't respond to any of those. Any of my questions, you know, about them paying me that amount. They said, look, we just need you to answer this. How did you come up with this figure for that week that you didn't work? We have proof that you didn't work. And I said, you know, they said someone from Sam's Club told them I wasn't there working. And I said, well, you can watch the camera and see that I was there working. As a matter of fact, I did 13 shows. I can't make customers appear when there aren't any customers there. I can't make people buy. The shows didn't have enough people coming. I was only getting 1 or 2 people or 0 showing up. So I couldn't make any sales. And I sent them the time card, the sheet that, you know, we fill out that shows how many shows we did and everything. And I told them they're free to go to the Sam's Club and look at the video of me working that day, and they'll see I was there working the whole day. I did 13 shows. So they, I think, went ahead and decided, you know what, let's just end this. And that's when they sent me the agreement that they would pay me the $352 right away to catch us up, and then they'll pay me my final paycheck next Friday. Now, that remains to be seen, but for now I'll trust them. In the meantime, you know, I told them I would respond as soon as I got the money. And when I looked and I saw the money, I went ahead and texted my boss, Kirk, and told him he could pick up the knives at the metal recycling in Brevard County. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. I went ahead and texted him the knife, you know, the location of the knives, which is, ironically, right where they shipped it. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. I guess I was going to show it in this video, but it looks like it's getting too long, so we'll make a separate video on it. But we'll go ahead and release this video, and then you can stay tuned for the next video, which actually shows the location of the knives. Until next time, everybody, have a great day.